Start a couple of minutes late. We got a couple of things to do first. First thing I got to do is I got to get Carol Lang on the phone, and I'm going to do that. So just sit tight, and hopefully I'll do it right this time. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Nope. With Carol. Yep. Hi, Carol. It's Stan.
Hi.
You know the routine.
Yep.
You are where this evening?
Satellite Beach, Florida.
And is there anybody with you?
Nope.
Not even Ginger, your trusty cat?
Oh, yes, she is here with her head on my lap.
Okay, giving you good advice.
Yep.
We're going to be starting out. We're going to skip the minutes for right now. We're going to do those in the second half. I'm going to just check with everybody if they want to make any other adjustments before the public hearing. Does anybody want to make any other adjustments to the operating budget before the public hearing? Okay. Well, in that case, we will now do the minutes, because we got a couple of minutes to do that.
Stan,
Yes, Carol.
do you want to do the minutes right now, considering that it forces you into a roll
I
call
already
vote?
know that. I already know that. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay.
Okay. We'll still call.
Okay.
Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes of January 26th? Do I have a second? Seconded by Shelley. Any corrections, additions, or deletions? I do know I have, Pat has a couple of typo corrections that Carol sent up in an email that will be put in. Are there any others? Seeing none. All those in favor of the minutes as typo corrected, please raise your hand. Oh, that's right. Well, fine. You're correct, Mrs. Heinrich. Would you do the roll call vote, please?
Yes. In favor.
In favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Aye.
So that was unanimous. All right, next on the list, the minutes from February 2nd. Would someone like to make a motion to approve those? Caitlin Ortega, I have a second. Second by Shelley Jacoby. Any corrections, additions, or deletions? Seeing none. Mrs. Heinrich, would you do the roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry? Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacoby,
Yes.
Mr. Heinrich,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Mr. Guagliumi,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
In favor.
and Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Okay. Believe it or not, we've got that done early, and the public hearing will start at 7:30, so for the next 3.5 minutes, we will stand at recess. The 2016-2017 budget for the Merrimack School District. I'm going to start by asking all the members of the Budget Committee who are here tonight to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start off. Carol, would you please introduce yourself? She's on the phone in Florida.
I'm Carol Lang. I'm out of state at the minute, but doing this by teleconference.
Bill, you want to go ahead?
Bill Cummings, live and in person. Welcome.
John Hanson.
Kevin Bobbitt.
Davis Powell, School Board Liaison.
Shelley Jacoby.
Stan Heinrich.
David Ilg.
Caitlin Ortega.
Jordan Gual Yumi. You spelled it fine. I'm just a little phonetics.
Our illustrious minute taker is Pat Heinrich, and so far not with us this evening is Lisa Mooney and Chuck Mower. To get started on this public hearing, we were given a budget by the school district way back when, and we then met with various department heads on our liaison assignments to look over the budget requests of the school district. And then we come back and report here at budget committee meetings, and we deliberate the budget and on the operating budget end of it and decide what we feel are reasonable and prudent expenses and make adjustments accordingly. As far as the operating budget go, we're going to be getting to that as the last item in the public hearing. But I want to start, and if you do have the handout that was made available, we deal with moneyed warrant articles. The first article of money is warrant article number 3, and it is, for layman's terms, the warrant article dealing with the teacher's contract. The school board and the Teachers Association negotiated a 3-year contract and with certain benefits and staffing levels. For the 2016-2017 year, the estimated cost of that contract will be an additional $750,714. The estimate for 2017 and 18 is $742,335. And for 2018-2019, it's $764,605. It maintains the health insurance at an 85-15 split between the district and the employees. It's based on the HMO plan that is offered. If an employee wants to go to a more expensive plan, they may do so, but they are paying the full boat of that increase. So if the plan was to cost $1,000 a month and the base plan's only costing $750, they're going to be paying 15% of the $750 plus 100% of the additional $250. The Budget Committee voted on this last week. We voted 10-01 to recommend this warrant article as printed. And does Matt have anything he wants to add about this contract at all? No. Okay. Yes, Kevin.
So I have some concerns on this. Last week we...
I'm going to stop you there for a second because I want to ask the public if they have anything they want to talk about, then we can do our concerns. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak excuse me, for or against Article 3? Seeing none. Kevin Bobbitt, you have a question or a concern?
Yeah, well, I'm just actually looking for more information. So right now we have the number for the next 3 years, but I don't believe the entire proposed teacher contract is available for us to review. Is that correct?
When you say the entire teacher contract, are you talking about, actually, what are you referring to?
The contract that we would have with the teachers.
Okay. We only vote on the money,
I understand that.
and as the public only votes on the money. The school board negotiates the contract.
I understand that. The money is, this raw number is part of that package, and I believe that this is to fund their salaries, correct?
Salaries and benefits.
Right. So, but I feel like in order to make an educated decision on this, I need to see the entire sum of everything that we're proposing to offer the teachers.
Matt, would
Even though
you
the
like
vote's
to?
on the number. I get that the vote's on the 750.
What we normally do is when we put out the voter's guide, that's when we kind of flesh out the particulars of what went into the money and the nuances of the contract. We're going to work to put together an executive summary of the contract and see if we can get that out a little bit sooner than waiting for the voter's guide, so people will have time to absorb it and understand it and ask questions. We'll probably post it on the website just as we post the results of the warrant tonight after you get done. But I did talk to it the last time, and it did include, it was a 3-year contract, 3% per year. It maintains the 85-15 contribution margin off of the HMO plan. It increases staff development by $30,000 for graduate studies. That's a component. It increases the buyout from $15,000 to $3,000, although that's not a cost item because we're hoping there's going to be some potential savings there with people taking other insurance plans. So that's kind of a cost-neutral item right now. And it does offer us the ability in future years to offer other low-cost health insurance plans to the teachers that are going to cost the district less than what 85% of the HMO would cost. So there's going to be a savings realized. We just can't quantify that because we don't know how many people who are going to potentially go on that plan in the future. So like I said last time, it's kind of a soft target, kind of like the buyout is a soft target. Those are the money items. As far as the contract in its entirety, this process started in the end of September, early October, and went up until probably just a day or so ago before everything was ratified and agreed to. So it was a long, involved process with a lot of language going back and forth that didn't really affect the financials. We'll put together some sort of summary of that to get that out to everybody so they can have an understanding of what they're voting on. And the 3% increase includes the increase in the wages. It includes the New Hampshire retirement portion. It includes workers' comp, unemployment, long-term disability, FICA, and everything like that. So the wages are fully loaded, as we say. But that's something we'll do and try and get that out sooner than the voter's guide and put that out to the public so they have an understanding. But to take all those tentative agreements right now and knit them all together into a contract that we could produce, that's normally done. It takes time to do that because there were a lot of give and takes and a lot of tentative agreements that were signed off. And to take that and merge that into one document, there's a lot of proofreading that goes on between our office, the Teachers Association, back and forth till we get it right. So that's not going to be available for a little bit. But we can put together a summary that should address the needs of what people need to know, the salient points.
So that's great. The summary is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I think we're supposed to vote on this tonight. And you're saying that summary won't be available for some time. So
Actually, Kevin, we've already voted on it.
right, and it's my understanding we can do that again. Is that correct?
Motion could be made at when our other meeting reconvenes to reconsider it.
Okay. So, well, let me ask.
Just keeping in mind that the only thing we're voting on is the money. And the only thing the voters vote on at election is the money. And if the warrant article were to fail, then you would go to warrant article number 4, which allows the school board, if it wants to revisit cost items only. So any of the other language that's in the agreement is not subject to change by anybody else.
Okay.
Just the money. And you can only really essentially vote it up and down. I mean, a person at deliberative session could move to decrease the amount, but then you wouldn't have a labor agreement if it got passed.
Understood. Okay, so back to you, Matt.
I guess what I'm saying is the executive summary will be out sooner than later. Let's say in a week's time. What
Okay.
I want to do is put together what I've just kind of verbally told you right now and put it together in a document.
Okay.
And then
So
I
that
wanna-
won't have any more information than what you've just said, really.
We can comb through it I can work with the HR directors to see if there's anything that's pertinent.
Okay.
A lot of the changes in the contract were a lot of basic housekeeping type items that really didn't impact, but they clarified meetings of particular sections. And so it's language such that I don't think people would find beneficial in making a decision one way or another. It was points of clarification.
Okay.
There was nothing different in that, we gave the teachers an extra day. They went from 187 to 188 days or anything. Therefore, it costs more money, so that's why it's part of the 3%. Nothing like that or anything. But I could take the items that I talked about here, work with the HR director to see if there's any other important items that we should put forward. And then I would want to take that document after it's constructed, and I'd want to confer with the Merrimack Teachers Association to make sure we have a meeting of the minds, that I'm not writing something that they misunderstand in a certain way. So we're both putting out a kind of a joint document of this is what the contract is, because we want to be clear on both sides. I don't want to put out something that they could look at and says, well, that's not really what we were thinking about when we did it, so we want to confer. So we're talking like maybe a week and a half or something, we could have that document out. But for the purposes of this meeting, like Chairman Heinrich stated, it's a 3-year contract, it's 3%, and it increases $30,000 the amount of staff development, and there is a potential savings in future years by offering various health insurance plans. Basically, that's it.
So to the 3%, does that mean every
No.
person gets a 3% increase?
No.
Or some people get less, some people get more?
People at the bottom of the scale, ones that we want to attract for new hires, because we have a staff that we have a certain number of retirees each and every year that we have to replace, and so we want to cultivate new blood in the district. So those people at the beginning of the chart, salary chart, bachelor's plus 30, master's degrees especially, we made a concerted effort to give masters with 0 years or 1 year or 2 years experience a little bit more in that particular area. So they could get like a 4% increase at the beginning of the chart, whereas your teachers in the latter parts of the chart could get like step 18 or step 17, could get a 2% increase or a little bit less. So it's kind of a gradiated type array of
And just to be
increases.
clear, all these increases are based on how long they've worked in the district, education level, those sorts of things, not on
Absolutely.
performance reviews. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have for
All
now.
set, Kevin?
Yep.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions on warrant Article 3? Carol, do you have anything you want to add?
Not about that, but at some point, could somebody try readjusting the speaker versus microphone, because I can barely hear.
Yep. Our Merrimack TV technician is doing that as we speak.
Thank you very much.
Is that better?
Can somebody other than you talk?
Hi, Carol.
I don't know who it is, but I hear you.
Okay, that must be better. All right, we don't discuss warrant Article 4, basically. It's not something the Budget Committee has to deal with. It's only if the school contract failed, the school board is authorized to reconvene another meeting to talk about cost items. And if that happens, then the Budget Committee would have to get together and deliberate those amounts, and then there would be another deliberative session and another vote. The next item that we deal with is warrant Article 5, which is a special warrant article, and it's to raise and appropriate up to $75,000 or 10% of the unencumbered surplus remaining on hand at the end of this fiscal year, whichever amount is less, and to transfer that into the school district repair capital reserve fund. The Budget Committee voted 10-01 to recommend that warrant article. This is a fund that's used for emergency repairs within the school district, and it has been used for such things as working on the Blue House, the current special services building, and other areas when an unexpected disaster strikes that maybe the insurance isn't going to pay for everything. And they want to build the value of this up because when they need it, it's going to come in handy. And hopefully they won't, but they were looking to build it up to over $100,000, $150,000. And they voted to put in $75,000 as a starting point this year and then move more money into it next year. This is coming from surplus from the end of this year's budget. Davis, do you have anything you want to add about that from school board's point of view? Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this warrant article? Carol, do you have any questions or comments on it?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Warrant Article 6 deals with the trustees of the trust funds, and it's how the charges that the trustees do gets paid. And it's nothing that the Budget Committee votes on or has any interest in. Warrant Article 7 is the operating budget. That's the major biggie. The operating budget that is recommended at this current moment by the Budget Committee is $72,283,299. And if that doesn't change after the public hearing and it goes to deliberative session and a vote of the public, there is also what's known as the default budget, which should the operating budget fail to get a majority vote, the default budget would go into effect, and that budget is $466,384. That is figured out through a formula through the Department of Revenue Administration. Matt Chevenel figures that out. The school board approves it. The Budget Committee does not vote on that item. We vote and work on the operating budget primarily. And you might notice it's up a little bit from last year, and it's up because of the following items. We have in the capital improvement plan $1,139,750 for originally to be 3/4 of a roof at the Merrimack Middle School, which after 11 and a half years is failing. Upon receiving the bids from the bidders, they're going to be able to do the whole roof for that money. So the extra money into next year's capital reserve plan will not have to be used. And this new roof that is being proposed has a 40-year non-prorated warranty. So that means that for the next 40 years after that roof gets installed and accepted, any repairs are at the cost of the manufacturer, not the school district. The original roof put on the middle school when it was built was a 10-year warranty roof. And the heavy snow last year basically did it in. And the new materials now last longer, and they can offer longer warranties. Another increase in the operating budget is the HVAC unit on top of the high school cafeteria. This unit is over 40 years old. It is rusting out from the inside. Therefore, it was leaking water in through the ceiling into the kitchen. And when they went up to look, because they had just had a new roof put on, they found the drain hole was rusting from the inside with about 2 or 3 gallons of heavy-duty rust that they had to clean out so they could get the thing to work. The nice thing is that when they put the new roof on, they built into that new roof the new pads where the new HVAC unit will go. The unit that's up there can no longer be fixed. It's been fixed and repaired. It's been welded on weld spots. They can't weld it anymore. They can't even get any parts for it anymore. And it's one of those big noisy things you'll hear in the cafeteria if you're in there. Usually it shuts off about 7 o'clock, but not always. And that item cost $515,000. The next item in the capital budget that's in the operating budget is replacing the track at the high school. The current track is in basically deplorable condition. It's been patched and reworked and patched to the point that the company that services it says they're not going to service this any longer because it'll be too dangerous and the kids won't be able to run on it safely. Adults won't be able to use it as a walking track. The new plan calls for ripping up the entire track, replacing it, putting in new and improved drainage underneath it, also putting in an 8-lane, 100-meter straightaway on the front, and because they're going up to 8 lanes from 6, they do need to put a small retaining wall in, for that. It's been a long time coming, and it needs to be done now. I know there have been questions out there about, well, why not do the football field at the same time and put in a turf field? Two separate items. While that would be nice, that would be cost prohibitive, because a new turf field's got to run you almost $1.5 million. And the grass field we have right now is currently working and not in deplorable condition. And we have been assured by people who put in these new tracks that when the time comes to replace that field, they will be able to do so and cross over the track with a special bridge so that the equipment will not damage the new track. One of the other things with the new track is that it gives the opportunity for Merrimack High School to host a state track meet, thereby bringing some revenue dollars into the district and more visitors into town. And they can be very, very profitable. These are some of the major reasons for the increases in the school district's operating budget. Those capital increases, by the way, total $2,084,750. If you were to deduct that from the operating budget without those items would be $70,198,541. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is less than the current budget we are now in, which is at $70,408,919. Some of the adjustments that have been made to the operating budget: there was $227,354 in there to do some paving at Merrimack High School and around the bus loop and down towards O'Gara Drive and in front of the school. That was cut in favor of looking at a more comprehensive plan to go down farther on O'Gara Drive and address some of the issues there. Also cut was some painting costs to the tune of $10,000. There was $8,000 cut for whiteboards. It still leaves $8,000 in the budget. There's also $5,000 in the district-wide painting account. There was a correction of $200 in postage for the middle school. There were some chairs and caddies that were projected to be purchased for Thornton's Ferry for $7,000. They're going to continue using the older chairs and caddies that they have. There was also a credit for $206,543 reduction in the budget, and that's for retirees that are retiring at a higher rate of pay and hiring newer teachers at a lower rate of pay. There was also a cut of $10,000 out of the special services budget, and that was for a paraeducator, one paraeducator for use for a student who might go to a charter school, and it's been determined that wasn't going to be needed, and if it turns out it is, they will get that money out of the school district special education emergency fund, which they have the authority to do. That is basically where the operating budget sits, and if anybody would like to speak to any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations on the operating budget, now is the time to do it, Kristen. Go right ahead. I do need you to just, after you sit down, and make sure the mic's on, should be a little green light. Please state your name and address for the record, and spell your last name so that Pat gets it correct in the minutes.
All right, I'm Kristen Carrillo. I live at 2 Great Stone Drive, and my last name is Carrrio. I'm here representing the Merrimack Roadrunners Booster Club. My daughter runs cross-country and track for Merrimack. I also have 3 other children who will be coming through the schools. I have seen how track and cross-country have brought kids in this community together. I've seen them work hard and be proud of their teams. And we are a Division I school. If we don't have a track, we will be about the 2nd Division I school without a track. And you can't have a track team and not have a track. And so I am just here to just let you know that although there's only 2 of us here tonight, we do have a huge following, and we all plan to be there March 8th. Children, 18-year-old seniors who are registered to vote, kids coming back from college. We have a lot of people who are in support of this, and we will be there March 8th. There's quite a bit of us that are really wanting this track replacement. And it isn't just to bring money into the town. It also helps the Booster Club raise money. If we are unable to hold a track meet, Merrimack Invitational is our 2nd largest fundraiser, next to the Merrimack Sparkler. If we are unable to have that, our kids are going to go without travel expenses for invitationals. Track and cross-country meets are held on the weekends. Sometimes we have to stay over. The parents will either pay, or the Booster Club will pay for the kids to go and stay so they can participate in their meets. So that's how we raise our money for our kids to travel. Uniforms and stuff like that, so banquets. If we don't have a track, we don't have a fundraiser. And we would love to hold the Division I state meet here, possibly in the next year. The kids are very excited about that. So that's kind of it. There's a bunch of us, and we'll be there on March 8th.
Okay. Thank you. Would your companion like to say anything?
No, I think Mrs. Carrillo has said it all that's necessary.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to comment about the operating budget? Any budget committee members that have any comments they would like to make?
When you have a chance, I have something, Stan.
Go ahead.
2 things. One, mainly for the benefit of the public. Could Matt give an estimate of the impact on the tax rate between the default budget and the proposed budget?
Hold on, Carol. He's coming to the microphone.
Between default and the operating proposed, around an $800,000 difference, if I recall. And that would be probably around 25 cents on the rate. So, because it's around $1 million, so 25 cents on the tax rate. So $25 on a $100,000 or $200,000 property, $50. That's the difference.
All set, Carol?
Yes and no. What number did I hear Matt say was the difference between the 2 budgets?
800.
800,000.
Okay, that was a different number than I thought. If that's the correct number, that's
It's
fine.
816, 915.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my only other thing was I just wanted to verify that that what we're talking on the roof in the original proposal before we got the bids in, I was under the impression we were talking about a 30-year warranty. but of late I've been hearing 40-year warranty. So did we not only get a better deal, but we also got a better warranty?
And originally, Carol, it was anticipated to be a 30-year warranty. When the bid came in, they were offering a 40-year warranty. So yes, we're getting 10 more years on the roof, and we're getting 25% more done for the same price.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting that right.
And we don't have to play Russian roulette with where the water buckets go next year.
That's a good thing.
All set, Carol?
Yes.
Kevin Bobbitt.
I just wanted to speak to the track a little bit. I've been on the track, and it needs to be replaced. If anybody hasn't been on it, they should check it out when there's not any snow on it. But also, having a track at a school of our size is as important as having a football field, a soccer field, a field hockey field, a basketball court. You know, I believe that the running sports deserve as much access to facilities as any other sport. Not to mention that the phys ed classes use it, middle school track uses it, cross country, town people use it. So there's a lot of uses for it. So I just like people to consider that when they think about it.
Well, years ago, I had the privilege of being involved in the infancy of the track through planning a building committee and through a former school board member named Pat McGrath, who was president of the Boosters Club. He was very instrumental in making sure we got a track because we didn't have one. It's outlived its usefulness, and it's proven that it was a very wise investment. And with the improvements in the drainage they want to put in and the type of construction they're going to go to, I think it'll be around for quite some time. Yes, Jordan.
I just wanted to say that I don't think anyone here is against the track, but I would encourage you to get the word out amongst anybody that you know, anybody that's involved with the Booster Club, anybody who runs, any of your neighbors, because we're really talking about 21 cents a day, okay? And there are people that will vote this down because it's greater than the default budget. And if you've got a house, if you've got property worth about $300,000 and you do the math based on this amount, I came up with about 21 cents a day. So I would say just get the word out, encourage people to vote. And by the way, my math is the roof, HVAC unit, and the track, not just the track. So we're not talking about a lot of money, but the only way it's going to happen is if you encourage people to go out and vote.
We also have to think about the fact that in the case of the roof, case of the HVAC unit, we keep our schools up. We're a model for a lot of towns. And if we don't do these repairs, our schools, and I said it last week, will look like schools in Detroit, Michigan. And they've got a lot to deal with leaky roofs, mold in the walls. I mean, it's just horrendous because they don't take care of their schools. We do. We have a lot of money invested. There are over 11 1/4 acres of roof in all the school roofs. That's a lot of flat top. And the program has been working. And within the next 5 to 10 years, all of the roofs will have been replaced in the school district. And they're all coming in with 30, 35, and now 40-year roofs. So I don't think any of us are going to have to worry about the roofs failing in our lifetime. And I think the track will probably get us another 15 years. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. The HVAC unit, it's way outused its usefulness. And for those of you that have ever attended a meeting in the cafeteria, and we sit there and wait for the fan to go off because it sounds like a clunker. It is. You couldn't even get a junk dealer to take that thing. Are there any other questions, comments on the operating budget for the school district? I do not see any. I don't see anybody coming up to the microphone. I will therefore close this public hearing at 8:10 in the evening. And thank you very much. We will now reconvene our regular meeting. And at this time, does any Budget Committee member wish to reconsider our vote on warrant article number 3? Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to move to reconsider it?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second?
For discussion.
Seconded by Davis Powell. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, to reiterate, I just have concerns without being able to see everything that's involved in that. I feel like we're missing information to vote on a significant number here.
Okay. Davis, you have anything you want to add to that, or?
Well, I understand where Kevin's coming from. It would help, I think, everyone if there was something visual to go with. And from what Matt has said, there would be an executive summary available. However, might I make a suggestion? Do we have another Budget Committee meeting scheduled?
No.
So would it be appropriate to table this until the next to-be-determined Budget Committee meeting?
No.
So what do you...
We don't have enough, to be honest with you, there would not be enough time to meet the legal requirements to be able to do something like that. And what we have in front of us is the dollar amount. The particulars of the contract are not for us to consider. It's the total dollar amount. The dollar amount is not going to change. We might not like the fact that, they might get an extra 5 minutes for lunch or something like that. That's not our purview. Our purview is the dollar.
I have a question. How is the detail of this item any different than the detail of one of the school operating budgets that we look at, and we look at the detail of how much is proposed to spend on art supplies or replacement tables or things? Isn't that the same level of detail that we're talking about? It is in my mind, so maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I would say no. It isn't, because what this is, it's taking an existing contract that gets renewed every 2 or 3, I think once we had a 4-year contract, and then they tweak it a little bit. But the moneyed items, are you looking for like a breakdown of how many teachers are getting 4% versus how many are getting 1.5% or 2%, or?
To be honest, I'm looking for more information than what's in the warrant article here. And
Stan, can I ask you a question?
Sure,
Do you have the amounts we're looking at here is the additional amount for the new contract?
That's
Would it
correct.
help to get the actual dollar amount of the contract? Is that something that's even, is there an actual amount with the association? Does that make any sense? I don't know if that number alone would help, but we're looking essentially at an amount that is 3% increase. So I guess we could do reverse math and figure out.
Well, the base number in 15-16 is $19,300,868. You take that, you multiply it times 3%, you get $579,026. You take that, multiply it times 15.67%, which is the New Hampshire retirement figure, you get $90,733. You take that, multiply it times 0.0037%, you get $2,142, which is the amount of workers' comp. You take that and you multiply it times 0.004, and you get $2,316, which is the amount attributed to unemployment compensation. LTD is $2,200. FICA is $44,295, and I said the staff D was $30,000. So you take the $19 million, which is the base, multiply it times 3%, which gives you your $579. Add up all those other percentages that I gave you, and you arrive at $750, $714. So that's exactly how the number got to be at where it was. As far as any language items in the contract, I can tell you there's no change or significant change that comes to mind in the working conditions of a teacher that are in this new contract. It is status quo. The big items were the percentage increase and the ability to offer new health insurance plans.
Matt, what's the base salary for first-year teacher, no experience, with just a bachelor's degree?
Probably around $32,000, $33,000.
And we are, where, just below the average in the area?
Surrounding districts right now, when you look at Milford, you look at Bedford, you look at Amherst, you look at all of the districts that I just mentioned, we are below them in pretty much every single category across the board in the salary schedule when you do a comparative.
Dan, can I make a comment at some point?
Go right ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I'm listening to what Kevin was talking about when he made the analogy about when we look at the operating budget and we go into the detail of looking at, let's say, art supplies or whatever. And even then, when we're doing the operating budget, we may look at how much is going for art supply, but we don't get into telling them, well, you can spend this much on paints and this much on poster board, et cetera, because then that's into the specifics of, you know, what the district decides to do. And I think it's kind of the same with the teacher's contract, that we're looking at how much are we paying our teachers, and, you know, what is our student-teacher ratio, is it reasonable, and, you know, then the cost of their benefits, and the detail of, you know, what minor tweaks might be made in the contract that don't affect the dollars, you know, don't really affect the budget committee that I can see, unless Kevin is looking at something that I haven't thought of. You know, I think our obligation is really the dollars and cents, and what are we getting for those dollars and cents. And beyond that, the rest, I think, is up to a combination of administration and the school board. But if Kevin has something else in mind that's concerning him, I'd certainly like to hear it.
I guess
Kevin?
when I look at this and our vote, so our vote will get posted on the ballot, right? So
That's correct.
So to me, as a resident, when I see that, it looks like, the way I read it is that the budget committee is in agreement with the teacher contract.
We are in agreement with the dollars recommended for the contract. We are not endorsing.
Right. That's not how it reads, and I don't believe that's how the general public would
You
read
know,
it.
it's made very clear that we are voting on the dollars, not on the actual language of the contract.
Okay.
Now, I understand your frustration. But that's the,
So how should we proceed here?
well, there was a motion and a second to reconsider. We should have taken a vote to reconsider it and then started the discussion, but it was just easier to start the discussion. So we still have to vote to reconsider it. And then if we vote yes to reconsider it, we will take another vote on it. If we don't vote yes to reconsider it, then it stays as is. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about this?
Well, I was wondering if,
Yes, John.
we've gone through the analogy of art supplies. And one of the things that I always kind of look for is like, well, how much did we pay for art supplies in the previous school year? And the one prior to that and prior to that, right? There's like a 3-year history that you do have. And you kind of sort of understand from those you either have a flat budget or a little bit of an increase or whatever. Now, I know this is a kind of a 3-year teacher's contract, so we don't have those numbers year after year. But I was wondering if Matt had the numbers for the last time or comparable numbers to what this warrant article has for this upcoming contract. Do you have the numbers for the last time a contract came out? That's all. I mean,
Yeah, not specifically off the top of my head. I know that in the first year, it was a lesser amount because the Merrimack Teachers Association voted to change the plan designs, which gave us an initial savings. But the amount of the contract, the percentage increases, were pretty much identical to what we're having here. So just because the mix of the wages were perhaps a little bit lower 3 years ago, that would be the only difference. But we're talking basically the same percentages as before. That's
So-
what you're looking at right now. And in this warrant article, the question is to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement, not to approve the collective bargaining agreement.
yeah,
Just
I
the cost
understand that
items.
totally. Yeah, but I mean, when we see kind of like numbers from the last time this was done, you can kind of understand if, oh, well, this is in line with what was previous. I don't know. if that
I
would help
believe
Kevin out or
actually
not,
when,
but-
when Matt originally presented this to us, he had mentioned that. And it's basically the same thing with some minor tweaks.
And I also believe I'd asked
Thank
the
you, Matt.
question if that was a standard increase, and I think we were told that that's pretty standard, 3%. Not to put you on the spot, but
I have seen it fluctuate from 2.75 to 7%. There was one contract year where there was a 7% increase for 3 years. That was around 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer than that. During a period of time where we had to take the salary chart itself and restructure it because we had some dead spots right in the middle. We were losing people in that particular area when they got to years 4, 5, and 6. Just when they're hitting their prime, they were getting minimal pay increases. That was kind of a result of prior negotiations, and you never got to the point where you could make that up. So thus the larger than typical increases in that particular year. But since then, we've been running roughly in the 2.75, 2.9 to 3% every single year since.
So, Matt, I guess to paraphrase, this contract's kind of in line with the more recent ones.
There's nothing atypical about it. It is fairly cut and dry.
Anybody have anything else? All those in favor of reconsidering warrant Article 3, please raise your hand. Don't need a roll call on this one. It's not involving money. Oh, you're right. Thank you. I keep forgetting about you, Carol, sorry. Yep, roll call vote. Mrs. Heinrich?
No.
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 Mr. Cummings?
None in favor.
Mr. Heinrich?
No.
Mr. Powell?
No.
Mrs. Lang?
No.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Quaglione?
No.
One eight. Oh, David didn't. Carol, and did you vote, Shelley? You voted, okay.
In favor.
Carol?
Yes? What?
Do you want to reconsider the vote on warrant Article 3 or not?
No, I said no.
Oh, okay. Somebody said you hadn't voted. Today. So the motion to reconsider fails 2-8. We will not be reconsidering voting on warrant Article 3. We will now go to warrant Article 5. Does anybody want to reconsider warrant Article 5? Going once? Going twice? Carol, do you want to reconsider warrant Article 5?
What was 5?
5 is the district repair fund for $75,000.
No, I don't want to reconsider that.
Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to the budget article, and this isn't a reconsideration. I move that the Budget Committee recommend an operating budget for the 2016-2017 budget of $72,283,299. Do I have multiple seconds? Is there any further discussion or possible adjustments to this warrant article?
I have something, Stan.
Yes, Carol, go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring it up because I'm not sure where the discrepancy is occurring. But I'm looking through the minutes from January 26th, and in there it says that the operating budget is only $118,000 higher than the default. And in our discussion earlier tonight, Matt gave a figure substantially higher than that. So I don't know if we missed a correction in the minutes or if I'm hearing something
We
wrong.
did miss a correction in the minutes. That's what
Can
Mrs.
we,
Heinrich
when we're
is
done,
saying.
revisit the minutes and correct that?
We'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah. That will be done.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any thoughts on the operating budget? Seeing none. Mrs. Heinrich, would you conduct the roll call vote, please, on recommending the proposed amount?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Mr. Cummings?
In favor.
Mr. Ailes?
In favor.
Mr. Guaglione?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Yes.
In favor.
Unanimous, 10-0-0. And that's what will go on the warrant for deliberative session. That concludes our deliberations on the operating budget. First of all, thank you all for the good work that you do. And I know it takes a lot of time out of your day, but that's why we get paid the big bucks. And I do say that jokingly. Our next meeting is after school board deliberative session on the 8th of March at the Upper Elementary School APR, where we will have a nice table up front with our seats towards the front and our backs towards the audience. And the purpose of that meeting will be to approve the minutes of this meeting, and if a warrant article that we voted on that has money in it has changed, we have the opportunity to change our vote if we're going to still recommend it. So if, they cut the heck out of warrant Article 3 or Article 5 or the operating budget, or they add, up to 10% of the operating budget to the budget, we have the option of saying, yes, we agree, no, we don't agree. So please, at the end of deliberative session, stick around. Now you'll notice the little thing I put on there, filing period for election. Every year we do have an election. There are normally 4 3-year positions that are up for election. This year we have 4 3-year positions and 1 2-year position. The 2-year position is the current open position, and that'll be filling that unexpired term. The 4 folks whose terms are up after the election in April are Bill Cummings, myself, Carol Lang, and Lisa Mooney. If you are planning to run for re-election or not planning to run for re-election, I would appreciate it in knowing about it, so that if you are not going to run, we can try and find someone else to run. And if you are going to run, that's good news. And if you know of somebody that wants to run, that's good news. You do need to fill out a piece of paper that declares your candidacy. Filing period starts Wednesday, February 24th, and runs through Friday, March 4th at 5 p.m. And you must register in person, and you can go to the superintendent's office and get a form for declaration and fill it out and turn it in. You must be a resident of Merrimack and a registered voter. Also on the school ballot this year will be 2 members of the school board to be elected, a town moderator, and, a school district moderator, and the school district clerk's position. Those 2 positions are both 3 years. if you're interested in that, and also the school treasurer. And that is a paid position. Actually, the moderator and the school district clerk get paid the handsome fee of, what is it, $35 a year? Some crazy thing like that. There is no filing fee, and you will be helping out your school district. And with that, I would like to say it's been great. We will see you on March 8th. Does anybody have anything else they would like to bring up? And I think Pat's... Yes. What did you say, Pat? We said it would be done. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up? Does anybody sitting out in the audience want to have anything to say?
Thank you all.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. And seconded, not debatable, all in... Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Carol, you want to be in on this?
I don't care one way or the other. If you want to end the call, that's all right.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. We'll see you March 8th.
Added expense to the community, to the tax rate and so on. So it is, as everybody seems to recognize, $500,000 is a ton of money for overtime. But I get it, and I think it's the tool that we have to work with right now, and I think it appropriate, working under our own parameters of how we are trying to focus on that ultimate tax rate in the end.
I didn't mean to open Pandora's box.
You did a good job.
I did a good job.
We were almost on
Another
the
reason
hour.
why not to put me as chair. Yes.
I know that we've been talking about
Nice try.
8 and 7, but in my eyes, requesting 8 is actually 7. Requesting 9 is